If you're middle-aged, you've been training for a while and you've quietly accepted that it just aches all the time, and your doctor says that you're absolutely fine, then this video is for you. Because you're not fine, and it isn't your age, our age. It's that you're still running a program written for a body that you stopped having about 10 years ago. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the workout plan that I build for adults in our situation, and the one cue inside it that potentially fixes what your GP can't. Here's what I see over and over in people who come to train with me in their late 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond. You haven't stopped training, you haven't gone soft, you're still working hard, you're still eating sensibly, you're still sleeping when life lets you, but the return on all of that has quietly dropped. Sessions you used to shrug off in a day now cost you 2 days. You wake up in the morning after a workout needing 2 coffees and a stretch before your back will agree to you putting your trousers on. The favourite training day of your week has now quietly become the one that you keep postponing. And you've been telling yourself it's age. It isn't, at least not in the way you think it is. The training hasn't stopped working for you because your body has failed. It's stopped working because the measure has changed. And nobody's told you. The thing you used to judge your session by, how wrecked you felt afterwards, has quietly become a lie. And until somebody gives you a new measure, you're just going to keep training the only way you know and keep getting those same diminishing returns over the next 5 to 10 years. So the new measure we're going to use is control, not effort, not soreness, not how long the session lasted or how flat you felt when you walked out of the gym. Control. How much of every single rep you actually owned, beginning to end, and the way you learn control, the way it gets into your body so you stop actually having to think about it, slowing movements down, owning movements, and at times a 3-second pause at the bottom of specific lift. 3 seconds, that's it. Long enough for momentum to stop. It's long enough that the next rep has to come from you, not from a bounce, and plenty long enough that you will feel your form or positioning. And once you've felt the difference between a rep you've earned and a rep you cheated, well, you can't go back, which is exactly why I build this entire plan around it. Let me walk you through what one session of this plan actually feels like. All right, what you are looking at now is day 1 of week 5 of the plan you'd be following if you want to make some decent progress. 5 exercises and a little circuit to finish off with, around 50 minutes start to finish. And I want you to imagine you're doing this, not watching it. So we open with the dumbbell bench press, 5 sets, 10 to 15 reps, depending on how you feel. And here's the pause, 3-second pause at the bottom of every rep. And the first time you do this properly, you'll feel something embarrassing. The weight that felt easy when you were bouncing it off your chest will suddenly feel like a different weight entirely. The dumbbells didn't get heavier, you just stopped lying about the lift you were doing. That's the lesson, and you'll feel it. Set 1, rep 4. That's the moment this plan starts to work for you. We move on to rear foot elevated split squats. Again, 5 sets of 10 to 15 reps per leg, a 3-second pause in the bottom position. And if you've spent the last decade telling yourself you've got dodgy knees or a dodgy hip, this is the movement that will tell you the honest truth. Most of the time, it isn't the joint, it's the fact that you stopped owning the bottom of any squat 10 years ago. The pause forces you to own it again, and the first time you stand back up cleanly out of one of these, you'll realize something about your body that you'd half forgotten. It still works. You just stopped asking it to. Use it or lose it. Now, here's where the plan does something most don't. The next 2 movements, they don't have a prescribed pause, they don't need one. A single arm dumbbell row, 5 sets, 10 to 15 per arm. No pause on the page this time, but you'll find, without me prompting it, that you start rowing differently. You're slower at the top, you're holding the contraction for just half a second longer. You're feeling your back muscles working instead of yanking it with your bicep. That's the pause showing up in a lift that never asked for one. That's the plan teaching you something once and you carrying it forwards forever. Then we move on to seated dumbbell shoulder press. 5 sets, 10 to 15, and we're seated deliberately. This takes your lower back out of the equation. No prescribed pause either, but by now you're not bouncing out of the bottom of the press, you're not heaving the rep, you're controlling both ends of the movement. The pause isn't on the page anymore, it's on the rep that you're doing. And then the finisher. This is 3 rounds, not for time. That's important. 12 dumbbell curls, 12 hip thrusts, 12 weighted sit-ups. The finisher is the one place in the session I want you to stop thinking about control as much and just move. You earned that. You spent the first 40 minutes paying close attention to 2 lifts, so you could spend the last 10 doing something useful without overthinking it. Strong arms make every other lift in your life easier. Hip thrusts will protect your lower back, work those glutes, the posterior chain a little bit, and weighted sit-ups, they train your core the way a core actually wants to be trained. Pragmatism beats dogma every single time. 3 rounds for quality. Move through them, that was it. Done. And seeing as we're always into the tech side of things as well, here's something a little bit strange about a session built this way. On the watch, the same Apple Watch that I track every session with, and the one I'd have you tracking yours with, it looks like any other hard workout. The heart rate sat in the high 110s, maybe low 120s, and we peak around the 140s, maybe 150s on the split squats, and then through the finisher. Active calories will track a few hundred, and it's a 50-minute workout door to door. By those metrics, the watch can measure it. This is a normal session according to this. But the watch can't see what changed in you. It can't see that you owned every rep instead of cheating 6 of them. You know, those bro reps because they want to lift heavy dumbbells. It can't see whether you stood back up out of the split squat under control or if you fell out of it. It can't see what happened in the bottom 3 seconds. That's the bit the watch will never capture. No app or tech knows you better than you, and the watch will never know the difference between a session you earned and progressed from and a session you just survived. But you will from day one. Now, just to be clear, I'm 47, nearly 20 years of coaching, fitness and nutrition, and I train 5 to 6 days a week myself. And I will also do double day training during the week because training is part of how I make my living, and my whole life is structured around that. It's being able to recover from it. But that isn't your life, and one of the most important things I've learned in the nearly 20 years of doing this is that what works for me is actually none of your business, because it won't work for you. What works for you is the only thing that matters when you're in the gym. The plan I'm about to point you to is the one I've built for the life that you actually have. 3 sessions a week, dumbbells and a bench only, push-pull legs in every session. There's no power rack, there's no fancy cable machine, there's no £2,000 home gym setup that will turn into a clothes horse after a few weeks. Just a kit that delivers every movement pattern you need, run through the apps you already own using an Apple Watch, Apple Notes on your iPhone and MacBook, and the one app that holds the program together, which is called Fitter. That's the one I deliver the plan through. So then the honest verdict. There are 100 dumbbell programs on the internet. Most of them will work for a bit, and most of them are built by someone who doesn't coach the people they're writing it for. This one's different because I built it for you, for the body you have right now, for the time that you actually have in your week, for the recovery your nervous system is offering you in your 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond. If you've been training for years and the return has quietly dropped, this is the reset you need. 8 weeks, 3 sessions, some lifts where the pausing does the teaching, and then more where you carry it forward. By the end of week 8, you won't be measuring your sessions by how wrecked you feel anymore. You'll be measuring them by how control you held. And once you can measure that, you've got a way of training that will work for the next 20 years, not just the next 2 months. That's the difference between a program and a plan. The full 8-week dumbbell plan, exactly the one I run with my clients, delivered through Fitter, tracked with an Apple Watch or Garmin or whatever you want, and a notes app is in the description below. If what I've described in this video sounds like the way that you want to train from here, that's where you start. And if you're not quite ready for the plan yet, that's fine, but do me one thing in the comments. Tell me, what's the last training session you did where you felt in control of every rep, training through your full range of movement, beginning to end. Honest answers only. That's the question that decides whether this plan is for you. All right, thanks for watching. Now, YouTube is extremely clever and it knows that you're gonna like this video next, so watch this video next. And as ever, stay active. I'll see you in the next one.